Okayama in Japan, the penultimate race in the World Touring Car Championship. We're in the country of Japan for the first time with the current iteration of the World Touring Car Championship. The last time they raced here in 1987, it was at Fujimoto Speedway. They are at the Millionaire's Playground, built by Tanaka-san as a private test track. Okayama hosted two Grand Prix in the 90s, 94 and 95, the Pacific Grand Prix. But it's the first appearance here for the FIA World Touring Car Championship. It's 3.7 sinuous kilometres through the mountains, and it's wet. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back, or good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back. Good morning in Europe to this Okayama circuit for rounds 21 and 22 of the World Touring Car Championship. And this might turn out to be a very monumental visit to Japan. It already has been for SEAT. They have tied up the manufacturer's crown. Ricard Rydell took victory in race one, and they secured enough points with a strong showing with three other cars in the points to make sure that BMW can now not overhaul them. SEAT are the World Touring Car manufacturers. And race two is going to be very important indeed, because we now have two drivers in the battle for the overall honours. Yvan Muller, who starts on the front row of the grid, and Gabriele Tarquini, who didn't score in race one and starts on row 5. And John Cleland, Tarquini now is back to the wall. Must win, must win, must win. He's got to score at least 1 point here, even if Yvan Muller wins, to take it to Macau as the championship decider.
Yeah, if Yvan does win this race, then I think the job's over. If Yvan doesn't score, then Tarquini has to have a right good score here. But it's looking very likely that we could have a world champion by the end of today. If Tarquini drives as poorly as I think he did in the first race, then there is every chance that Muller will score good points.
John's fan club there saying hi, and just in front of obscuring Takayuki Aoki here in his Vika Sport BMW, one of two drivers in the Vika Sport team. He raced in Monza, and a new boy this weekend, Matthew Marsh, in their second car. Franz Engstler with three Engstler Liquimoly Pro Team, Liquimoly Team Engstler BMWs on the grid. He, Andrei Romanov, his regular teammate from Russia, and Masaki Kano from Japan joining the championship here. And Engstler, interestingly, third in the independence race in race one, has now got to score 8 points from the rest of the season to move ahead of Pierre-Yves Courtal into third place in that championship. And in the Independence Trophy race as well, Sergio Hernandez, our points leader, now 20 ahead of Stefano D'Aste. They finished second, Hernandez, and first, D'Aste, in the Independence race. So 19, sorry, can't count. Really? Okay, 2 point handicap. Okay, for Stefano D'Aste. So D'Aste, 19 points. After this race, there are just 20 remaining. So if Hernandez beats D'Aste, and they're 1 and 2, Hernandez will go away 21 points ahead. So if he finishes in front of Stefano D'Aste in this race, he's champion. If they're first and second. If they're second and third, same thing happens. Below that, they have to be 2 cars apart. But essentially, D'Aste, to keep the championship alive, has to be in front of Hernandez. And that's where he starts on the grid, in front of Hernandez. But whether he can remain there or not, we'll have to wait and see. James Thompson had a very enterprising race one, but then ran off out of the battle for third place, which is a 5 or 6 car battle at that stage, dropped down the order, and just ran out of grip with the Honda, and so he's starting quite a long way back in 18th place. Here's our grid. Tom Coronel starts on pole in the petrol Seat. He was 8th in race one. Yvan Muller is second. Augusto Farfus, the race one pole sitter, is third, ahead of Thiago Montero. And behind them, Rob Huff and Andy Priaulx, Jörg Muller and Ricard Rydell are race one winner. And Huff, Priaulx and Rydell now effectively out of the championship. Stefano D'Aste leads the rest. Gabriele Tarquini starts in 10th. And John Cleland, really, we're going to have to keep a weather eye on what's happening at the front of the field, but also on what's happening with Gabriele. And just to throw a spinner in, let's talk about the weather. We've seen a couple of cars on the grid already taking wet weather tyres off, and there are lots of double tyre trolleys on the grid, so people trying to balance whether or not they're going to go with slicks or stick with wet, because it's not any wetter, and it's a little drier than it was at the end of race one, and certainly a lot drier than at the beginning of race one. If you're Tarquini, are you going to gamble on slicks?
Well, they all went out in a sighting lap, I would think, with on that that lap out to the grid there, probably on wet tyres for Luxie. You could see from the lights on Thompson's car as he was going round on that lap, it was the track itself is shiny. It didn't look like there was a real dry line yet, although when you see the track there, you'd swear that was bone dry. I don't know, it's a difficult call. It doesn't look as though it's rained. There is no wind. There's not enough wind to sort of dry the track out, but 14 laps, I don't know. Well,
you're 11 points behind, which means if you start on wet and you can get into the points, then you go to Macau still with some sort of chance. But do you have one huge roll of the dice here and either say, okay, it's shit or bust, I'm either going to win big here or it's all over? Tarquini's the one who's got to make that tough choice, I'm afraid. So with the grid set as it was at the end of the first race, yeah,
they're changing this car. I would bet they're putting a good dry setup on this car for Tarquini now. Gabby's he's gonna gamble. I think he is gonna gamble. He's just gonna go, oh, let's go for a full dry setup. I need the points. I've got to go for this. I've got to get some real good points in the bag today.
Well, I see, if Ivan was like 7th or 8th on the grid, or if Ivan was behind him, you could be a little bit more cautious. Ivan's on the front row with a free pass, Tom Coronel right beside him. So even if Ivan doesn't lead into the first corner, Coronel's going to get, the whistle's going to blow, Coronel's going to move aside, and Ivan's going through. So you've got to assume, if you're Gabrielli, Ivan's going to win this race, which means conservatism isn't going to help you. It's the big crapshoot. He has got to have a huge throw of the dice. If luck's not on his side, he's not going to win the championship anyway. If luck's on his side, then bring it on, let's go to Macau. So it has to be the huge gamble.
That's for sure, but I think at the moment maybe there's a penalty being applied to Ivan Muller because he pushed Thompson off on the last lap. So maybe he's got a, I don't know, for all we know, there could be a 5-10 second penalty going to be applied. It was a fairly deliberate move that Ivan tapped him round. It wasn't a racing incident. It was a bit naughty.
Pushed to pass, you're saying?
Yeah, but he really had no need to do it because he was either 7th or 8th. He was on the front row of the grid no matter what happened. So it didn't really matter. And it would have been a good shout for Tomo, because Tomo would have then been on the front row of the grid as well. And his car's quite clearly, it's pretty quick here. It's maybe not the best handling thing, but it had some pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at the moment, though, we have got Ricard Rydell, our race 1 winner, in 8th on the grid, and Jörg Muller here in 7th position. So they haven't moved around. Those are wet weather tyres.
And which means it's on slicks.
The fact that they're on the trolley means they're not underneath the car.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are looking at a field on slicks. No diesel at all in the BMW's tank. Don't be misled by that. At least they better not be. Otherwise, somebody's in real big trouble. There's Bart Mampai, head of the RBM team that runs the BMW Team UK car, and with whom Andy Prio has won 1 European and 3 World Championships in the last 4 years.
Yeah, they've...
now then. They were having a conversation about what they're going to do if it starts to rain.
Yeah, well, if it starts to rain, it's they've got, 5-10 minutes to the start of the race. They're, the last-minute choices, they'll keep the wets and the warmers anyway. Everything's going to be kept really warm. If it starts to rain, yeah, fine. The cars are... The only trouble is that a lot of these guys have already put the chassis onto dry setup.
Yeah.
With a wet tyre, it's still going to be an animal to drive.
Yeah.
But
with a slick, it's going to be even more of an animal, to quote the advert.
Yeah, we'll wait and see just exactly what happens when everybody pulls the warmers off here. But
well, that was we just saw Rob Hupp starting in 5th place. This is Thiago Monteiro starting in 4th. Eventually got shuffled down the order. He was 2nd in the first few laps, and eventually got shuffled down the order. He was at the front of a long queue of cars battling for 3rd place, and eventually they started to get by him. He didn't quite have the car that Ricard Rydell had. And clearly there was some difference in the setup that they'd chosen between the two of them, because Rydell's car was clearly a lot grippier, and later in the race even more so. The Japanese umbrella girls are a major feature of every race grid in Japan, and makes you wonder why bearing in mind what the weather's like in the UK, umbrella girls never really caught on in British racing.
I'd just like to know why these girls don't have goose pimples.
Poor kids,
it's
yeah.
clearly really cold there, and they just look like they're really enjoying it. They're obviously paying them a lot of money.
Yeah, poor kids, they are, you know.
They've had loads of sake last night. I would think they probably can't feel it.
Yeah, well, you'd hope so.
So what have we got on here? We got slicks on here.
That is a bone-dry tyre.
I think that you would keep the car up in the air with the warmers on it till the very, very last minute.
Yeah.
Keep heating the thing. It needs to keep as much heat into the wheel and the tyre. And when you see everyone weaving in the warm-up lap, that puts the square root of no temperature into these tyres whatsoever. They actually need to be on the brakes, left foot the brake. Put heat up through the brake disc, up through the wheel, which will then dissipate into the tyre, and it'll do more warming up. The only reason they're weaving around, and you see all the F1 guys weaving around, is to keep the tyres clean. It's not actually to put any temperature in them. That doesn't work.
Pole position for Tom Coronel, but outside of the front row is Ivan Muller, our championship leader. And Ivan, well, this really could be a huge moment for the Seat team. They've just clinched the manufacturer's crown in race 1. And it does look, unless something goes really well for Gabriele Tarquini, as if Ivan Muller could tie up the Drivers' Championship here as well. It might go to Macau with a mathematical chance, but Tarquini on row 5 of the grid, if he gets caught up in anything like he did at the start of race 1, he's history. Tom Coronel sits on pole position. I would love to see Tom Coronel win this race. Most of the paddock would be quite happy for Tom Coronel to win this race.
Dry on the front, wet on the rear.
Tom, thank you very much indeed. Now
that's a good call.
That is a man who's a commentator.
Yeah, that's
telling
a good call.
us what he's got on. Yeah. Now that's you see, that's not something you'd use in a BMW. But why do you do that in a front-wheel drive car? Just explain.
Well, the front-wheel drive cars do everything through the front wheels. They brake, they steer, they drive, they get all the traction from there. And the rear tyres are doing absolutely nothing. So it takes ages to get any temperature in the rear tyre. No temperature means there's no grip on the rear of the car. No matter how much camber you put on it, how much toe you put on it, it just won't get grip. So what they need to do is, that's a really good call. Wets on the rear. It won't wear them out in 14 laps of dry. It'll get a bit squirmy near the end of the race. But in the first instance, if that's what he's got on, if he's not joking, that is a really good call.
He won't be joking.
It'll give plenty of grip on the rear.
He won't be joking. He wants to win this race. He's a big star in Japan. He raced a lot here in single-seaters in Japan. Coronel wants to win this race. Cars on the warm-up laps, sweeping around through Atwood. Former Monte Carlo Rally and Le Mans winner Dickie Atwood, the man after whom it's named. Onto the back straight, climbing out of here, John, and starting to climb up, then over the brow and along this sort of back straight with a kink in the middle. Doesn't show that on the map, really, does it? But it's a very good indication of the circuit, how uphill and down dale it is.
It drops down there. I mean, that's a 145 mile an hour, 215 kilometres an hour as they break down into second gear, 50, 60 mile an hour corner. And then this whole next section is second, third, all the way through there. And it's hard on the front wheel drive tyres. Just up through here, you'll see the cars trying to turn in, and a little bit of understeer. Why was Ivan going over to the left there through that big puddle? Farfus definitely understeering. He's on slicks. I think we're pretty sure of that. Tom, slicks on the front, wets on the rear. Wonder what Ivan's got. Has Ivan gone conservative with wet weather tyres? We'll soon find out. If I was Ivan and it was still pretty damp,
that's Aoki.
Is that Aoki?
That's Aoki. No, Marsh is further back. That's Aoki pulling off. And we saw Manabu Orido in the pit lane as well, not on the grid. And that's Masaki. That is Aoki, yeah. Taki Aoki pulling off. And that means that something has just gone.
Yeah, that's a dead one.
Yep. So
I think
either the transmission or the electrics or something have just gone fut, and then he's stuffed.
I think if you were a van and you wanted to be conservative and it looked a little bit damp out there, he may be playing the sort of the safety card here and just running on full wets. But
and maybe with a dry suspension setup,
Well,
to try and...
that would be a bit of a mix. A dry suspension with a wet tyre on.
Who knows? Now, I tell you what, there are some boys there, all his Sunred team, but also all his TV crew from Holland.
Tom's well back on the box there.
Yes, isn't he? He doesn't want to be sitting on those white lines, wheels spinning away at the start of the race, so he's a long way back in his box. And it is Tom Coronel on pole from Ivan Muller, Augusto Farfus third, the white BMW, then Thiago Montero, the blue car of Rob Huff on row 3 with Andy Prio outside him. Then our race 1 top 2, Jörg Muller, the white car, second white car back on the right as you look at it. And in 8th place, it was Ricard Rydell who won our first race. Cars that are going to be on the grid are there. We're ready to go when the lights go on and go off again. We will be racing here in Japan, and away we go. Good start from Tom Coronel, and Ivan Muller may well be on slicks because Augusto Farfus has gone straight by, and Farfus looks like he's going to try and pass Coronel into the first corner. The Dutchman's got the inside line. Muller's coming on strong. Ivan Muller inside Coronel. He's going to lead the race, and he's going to try and win it from there. Good start from Prio as well. Huff on the outside, but he survives. It's Ivan Muller, Tom Coronel, Prio down the grass on the inside. Farfus is third. Daste with the red mirrors up to 4th place. Good start from him, and he's got a long way in front of Hernandez. Prio in trouble.
I don't think that's Muller leading the race. I think that's Montero.
Really? Well, that might be the case.
I think Ivan was careful and fell back there.
It is Montero.
Yeah.
Very good call. Ivan Muller did get a slow start, but I thought he surged. There he is in the middle of the pack, and he is behind Stefano Dasti, and Prio got a big bobble on. Farfus under pressure. Dasti's just driven by Farfus, the man who was quickest in every session, including qualifying. Thiago Montero leads the race, and he is clearing off. Now, is he on wet weather tyres? He came through from row 2, but he's pulling away so quickly, I wonder if he's got wets underneath.
Well, Muller's now just got up to 3rd place there, so I think he just lit the front end of that thing up and just couldn't get the grip. Yeah,
entirely possible. Daste gets shuffled back. On the inside comes Rydell. Oh, this is Van Lagen. Who's this? Not Tarquini's car. Don't know who that is behind Jaap Van Lagen. Let's try and figure out where was Van Lagen starting. Don't know. That was
on row 9, 18th or something.
Don't know who that was. Yeah, a long way back. So somebody's dropped a long way back. I'm afraid we haven't got working timing screens, so we can only tell you what we can see on the screen. Farfus battling with Daste. Rydell on the inside, he's going for that, and Daste can't fight it. Oh, in amongst the larders, some very good action going on in the middle of the field. So blimey, look at the way the Seats are just disappearing. Farfus can do nothing about it. He is holding up Rydell at the moment, and Rydell is going to be going by. Montero leads, Coronel second, Ivan Muller third, and again Ivan Muller going over to the left there to cool the tyres down. Well, has he got wets on?
It could just have, but you would have thought it would have got slightly better grip than that at the start.
Right, critically, out of the top 6, is he in the points? Where is Gabriele Tarquini? Is that the onboard camera we were seeing? Is that Tarquini down fighting with the larders? Give us some positions, please, because while we watch the battle for the best non-diesel, as again Stefano Dasti launches up the inside of Farfus. Farfus is in all sorts of trouble here. Whatever they guessed at Schnitzer, they didn't guess right. He's got Huff inside him trying to get through, but the race lead is going to be all about the Seats. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, 4 Seats, and look at this.
Well, they're rubber stamping the manufacturers. Muller in 3rd place, that's Zanardiov. Muller in 3rd place is hunting water everywhere he goes down the straight. He's on wet weather tyres.
Yeah, but it looks as though it's still very slippy.
Now that's Zanardi getting tangled up. Well, that was tangled up with Marsh and who else behind? That's a big hit. I hope he's okay. And Portero there as well was in that group. So let's hope he's okay. There's the BMW Team Italy, Spain, Roberto Ravaglia's team. This is Tarquini.
I think that's Tarquini being off the road.
This has got to be Tarquini. There's no caption to tell us it is. I think it is. And he's been off, and he is having a mare. So whatever he's chosen, it was 180 degrees away from being right. Yeah.
I would love to know just what mixture of tyres these guys have all got on.
Alex is out and he's safe, and that's
that was a big hit for Zanardi.
That was a big hit, and that probably knocked the wind out of his sails a little bit. 2 laps of 14 completed, and yeah, see, Montero's leading. Coronel can't do much about him, and Muller is still hunting water. He is keeping his tyres cool because the water helps cool the rubber surface down and stops overheating. He's not got an overheating problem yet, but he wants to make damn sure he hasn't got an overheating problem at the end.
Yeah, and I still think that this is this is a slick tyre race, but Ivan has been real careful this early on in the race, try to keep the wets really cool. But I think anyone that's on slicks could come strong at the end of this race.
I don't know what Stefano D'Aste had for breakfast, but he should have been eating it earlier in the season. Here he is going inside Ricard Rydell, and that was a comfortable pass there. Rydell had no answer to him on the exit. See that weight of the turbo diesel over the front wheels is really helping to give him some bite out of the corner, and that's a good counter attack from Ricard as well.
Yeah. And he's got the right line for the hairpin.
And he's got the power down the straight as well, hasn't he? So he'll have the inside line into hairpin. But D'Aste, whoa!
Come on,
way
don't
too
spoil
late
it
on the
now.
brakes. Oh, he was trying to flick it in there, a la Valentino Rossi. And there, probably, is our Independence Trophy gone for Stefano D'Aste.
Certainly not looking.
Now, who was that coming in behind him?
He went in behind Hernandez.
I think he did, yeah. I think Hernandez got by. I think it was the Engstler BMW that came in, just came onto track in front of. So, yeah, I think he's lost that point, that position to Hernandez. Yes, there is Hernandez with the yellow mirrors right behind Prio, and it is Franz Engstler behind him. So Engstler looking to score for second in the Indies, and that will move him up to third ahead of Pierre-Yves Courtal, who I'm afraid is watching at home in Belgium, or possibly not watching at home in Belgium, given the early hour. But John, look at the way the cars, especially the BMWs, of course, because they are rear drive, are power sliding their way through the corners. And here's Ivan going for second. Coronel doesn't want to give it away.
I think you see the BMW of D'Aste there on the full opposite lock. I think the reason he was so fast in those first 3 laps was he was on wets. And now the wets are starting to get a little bit squidgy and soft and moving around. And I still think the guys that are on slicks could do quite well at the end of this race.
Now, Coronel wants to win this race, but even if on the last lap he's in front of Ivan Muller, he is going to get a call from the team saying, we have been asked, would you please mind allowing Ivan Muller through?
I would just pull the plug out the radio system.
Yeah.
And say, go away, leave me alone, I'll buy my spares from a Seat somewhere else.
Yeah, but he's being run by the Sunred team, which means he won't get a drive with them next year either. So it really depends on how determined and
Coronel's going
he's going to be.
break him down in here.
He's not got the overlap. You see, even the petrol Seat can't hold the turbo diesel in a straight line. It's that extra bit of oomph that the turbo diesels have had all year long over everything. They have over the petrol car as well. So he's got the same chassis, and he's got a little bit of a grip on the inside. Tom, don't hit him off.
No, go and put him off. Go and
don't put him off. Stop him.
Make the race interesting.
He is making the race interesting, but what he doesn't want to do is make the race a penalty fest, because at the moment he's going to be on the podium. If he pumps Muller off, not only is he going to be on the doghouse, but he's going to be on the steward's carpet as well, and it's going to mean that he'll start Macau 20 places back, and it'll just be a nightmare for him.
Tom is definitely on a different tyre setup to these 3 factory Seats.
Yes.
Because he's using lines that they're not using.
Yeah.
And they're moving around looking for some water to cool the wets down, in my opinion. But
well, he told us quite clearly, and Tom's not the sort of person who will say to the camera something that, that he wants the other drivers to believe, because he knows they can't hear it.
He's they're over to the left, you're looking for water.
Absolutely.
Stay off the race line.
Now, this is the battle for third still. At least we're assuming it is, since we seem to have run out of graphics and we haven't seen the leader for a while.
I'd like to know where Gabriele Taccuini is. I reckon he's back 12th, 13th, thereabouts. Again, just made a shocker of a start.
Now, if Ivan finish...
Tom is all over him like a bad rash.
Hang on a minute, that's not Ivan Muller, that's Thiago Montero. This isn't the battle for second, this is the battle for the lead.
Yeah, that's right. It's Tom Coronel.
No, I'm thinking Coronel Muller.
Chasing,
he's pulled away from Muller, but he's closed right up on Montero suddenly, very quickly indeed. So Thiago Montero, if he's on wet weather tyres like Ivan Muller, which I suspect he is, then Tom Coronel, it's just a matter of time before Coronel passes. The question is, will Seat try and shuffle Ivan Muller to the top of the pile?
Does that mean that looks like Taccuini's
22nd? Yes. So that is, he's not going to score a point.
He's out of this championship, I think, now. I don't know what's happened to him today. He must have left his brains in Italy.
Well, he's certainly left his luck somewhere. Coronel's got the inside line on Thiago Monteiro. Can he hold on the inside?
Yep.
Muller behind, searching for water, and Coronel has the lead back. Now, Thiago Montero, yeah, there's all the Dutch guys.
I think now that Tom's got the space, he can pick and choose his own line.
Yeah.
If he's on that nice mixture of tyres,
yeah,
then I think you'll see him pull away. And that then just proves it is a wet, forget the wets, it's a dry track.
Yeah. He had nothing to lose, everything to gain. He went for the best educated guess, which was a slick on the wheel that does the driving and a wet weather tyre to stop the car spinning away from him at the beginning of the race when it was when the tyres were at their coolest. And well, we've just seen Farfus coming past Rydell. All the Seats, look, everybody tracking down the pit wall there. In fact, Hernandez doing the same, and Stefano D'Aste doing the same. D'Aste's coming back to Hernandez, and he's got to finish in front of him. He really has to finish in front of his teammate. So that's going to be really hard. They're 7th and 8th ahead of Franz Engster. They're the top independents, those three. Ahead of Larini in 10th, Jörg Muller in 11th. Don't forget he started 7th, so he got shuffled well down the pack. And whoa, and Farfus just having a dive in the opposite there, wasn't he? Yes.
It'd be interesting to see how Ivan manages to pass Montero, given that Montero's about 20 car lengths in front of him, and he really does have to get those extra points. He needs those 8 points for second position here.
Well, at the moment, it might be slightly academic, because with 8 laps to go, I think he's going to be stuck behind Farfus, trying to get to Montero and Coronel to get the free pass. And the more cars go by him, the more Tarquini breathes again. The further down the points Ivan goes, the greater Tarquini's chance, slim though it might be at the moment, when they get to Macau. He's 11 points behind at the moment, Gabrielli, and gets further behind with every point that Ivan scores. But at the moment, Ivan's on 5, looking like he's going to go down to 4.
We've lost Huffy out of this battle.
Yes, we
here.
have.
I'd like to know what's happened there, but the graphics are not really helping us.
No, we're
Huffy's just completely, all the Chevys have disappeared. It's like
having awful trouble. Farfus drives around the outside. There's a man on the right tyre choice. I think he's on a slick. We saw he was on the grid, and I think Prio probably is as well. So as Farfus goes by Muller, Prio is catching Rydell, and Prio has got Hernandez giving him an awful time.
But if Andy's on slicks, it's just taken, half the race here to get them up to temperature. If he's on slicks, then maybe we'll start to see a move. But if we could just hone in on Andy for a minute and see if the car's squirming around, we'll get some idea whether it's on slicks or wets.
Well, he's gone by Rydell without too many problems. Rydell might have had the speed in a straight line, but John, when the tyre's not giving the grip, you don't get the grip off the corner. Your corner speed drops as well. So even if you've got a straight line power advantage, as we think the Seats have quite clearly, you can't use it because you can't get off the corner, and you have to brake earlier too.
You do. You have to come off it. You just don't get the traction. It's just, the car feels horrible.
Ricard definitely on wets, we reckon then, because he is just dropping down the order like a stone. Race 1 winner. Thompson fastest lap. There's somebody coming from the back on slicks.
Yeah, 14th.
Now, but he's way over the way. You can't even see him. Look, he's coming over the hill there somewhere in the background as the Seats get shuffled back. Ivan Muller now with Prio coming up fast behind.
But Tom Coronel's just driving away from Montero. But what I can't understand is the Chevrolets must have put all 3 of them in a transport and gone home.
Well, either that or they put them on... I don't know.
Oh, there we go. There's
well,
a
there's
Chevrolet
one,
now.
there's 2, so that'll be Huff and Larini.
Yeah, but they're about 12th and 13th.
Yeah, no, whatever they found in terms of a setup, then they ought to get that piece of paper and burn it now, because it's not helping them. Rydell being passed left, right and centre as first Hernandez and now Stefano D'Aste's Pro Team BMW go by him, and that shuffles Rydell down to 8th position. We are with Farfus, I believe. Yes, we are. And that is the back of Ivan Muller's car. No, it's not. It's the back of Thiago Montero's car. Of course, he's ready to dispose of Ivan Muller.
Tom Coronel must have 5 seconds, 6 seconds on the second place man. Let's just see what the gap is. Going to need him too,
isn't he?
What is the gap?
Farfus, I think, is probably quicker. And once he gets by Montero, Farfus will have 3 laps. He's not going to get Coronel. Coronel's going to win this race.
I hope so. Good old Tom.
Excellent. Prio there with Ivan Muller behind him. And Muller's got to be really careful. because Hernandez there in the blue BMW with the yellow mirrors wants to win the Independence Trophy, but also he wants to get as many places as he can, and if he can get in front of Muller, then he certainly will. And Muller's off the line, he drifts away. Did he leave the door open there, do you think?
No,
or
I think
he just looking for grip?
He was looking for grip. He was out on the bit where you wouldn't normally go, but he's looking for something with these wet tyres, anywhere where there's grip, and it certainly wouldn't be on the race line at the minute, because that's now, you can't see much of it, but there is definitely a drying line in certain corners.
You can really see Muller piling up the spray in the air there.
You see the shine off the track.
Farfus looking at second place. That is Thiago Monteiro right in front of us, and Farfus is really pushing to try and get by, and he's all over the back of Monteiro, and at some stage Monteiro's car will drift away from the line. As it does there, Farfus gets on the inside. He's got the run onto the inside in the second left-hander here, Redman, and through he goes, and that's Jörg. Oh dear, his teammate not having a good weekend here. On the podium in second place in race 1, and in the gravel in race 2. Farfus drifts out wide, uses all the road. Bye-bye. That's the end. Thiago won't see him again, except as a disappearing speck, and Prio's coming up. So we might end up with Coronel, Farfus and Prio as our top 3. And if Prio gets behind Farfus, does he get to go by? On to lap 9 of 14 here, so a lot of the race still to go. We're getting towards the 2/3 distance mark. You're looking at Sergio Hernandez and Stefano D'Aste and the 2 Pro Team BMWs battling for the Independence Trophy victory here, and in front of them, well, between them rather, is Ivan Muller in that yellow turbo diesel Seat, and Muller in the way. Get out of my way, Stefano D'Aste.
He's going backwards here, and he could just end up out the points. The only thing he's got in his favour is Ricard Radel's 2 cars behind him. Ricard probably won't pass him, or won't be allowed to pass him.
Question is, can the Chevrolets get close enough, fast enough to shove Rydell and Muller out of the points? That would be great for the championship. Without wishing to downplay Ivan Muller's chances, I think he's still going to end up as our champion, and probably rightly so. But if the Chevrolets can get up and push him out of the points, it gives us a more entertaining championship decider in Macau. They're close. No, hang on, there's one there behind Rydell. They're close. This is only lap 9, so we got 4 after this. I think they could push Muller out the points if they all get up there.
You're an optimist.
I'm always an optimist.
Who is this? Is that Huffy?
Ivan.
Yeah, and then Huffy.
That'll be Huff or stroke Larini. We're not quite sure.
I think it's Huff, actually.
Okay, well, here's Ivan's car.
Moving around, doing a bit of blocking anyway.
Doing a bit of blocking, looking for a bit of cool. And Rydell drifts out wide. Stefano D'Aste and Sergio Hernandez battling in those 2 Pro Team BMWs for the Independence Trophy, the Yokohama Independence Trophy, and it could be decided here. If Hernandez outscores D'Aste, I think he'll be champion.
You think the Chevrolets have started on slicks, and that's why it's just taken them sort of half the race to get the temperature up?
Well, they wouldn't be getting faster if they'd started on wets, I don't think.
But they're not moving forward very quickly.
We've lost Larini, but we've lost Larini, but Tomo's
moved up.
Yeah, so Larini's gone off somewhere, or Huff, whichever it is. We still haven't seen. Here is Prio looking for 3rd from Monteiro. Come on. He's having a look, and he's got Sergio Hernandez right behind him. And Hernandez, I have to say, is having a great season in that Pro Team BMW. He's been on the podium overall, as has D'Aste, and the 2 of them have just been running rampant at the head of the Independence category, but also carving in amongst the top 8 point scorers on a regular basis. Those cars have been really quick. An enormous kudos to the Pro Team, because they're running on a slender budget compared to the factory BMWs, and they're as quick as them almost every time.
And he's all over the back of Andy Prio here. I mean, he's driving fantastically well.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely is.
And that's the last thing Andy needs, is a privateer hustling his back bumper when he's trying to gain points.
Young Spanish whippersnapper, you?
Yeah.
Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, I'm a triple world champion. Leave me alone.
Well, you see, now on the other hand, you might let him go and see if he can leave a Monteiro offline and then sneak through. And I don't think actually Andy's got much opportunity to stop him. I think Hernandez is coming anyway. I don't think Prio's got the car to stop him going, and Hernandez wants to get away from D'Aste.
But Andy can't afford to drop too many points. But
there's Bart Mampai looking pretty cheesed off with the whole deal. It's very hard when a run of championship success comes to an end, and you know, these guys have won 4 championships in 4 years against some of the stiffest opposition there is, against some of the best teams, and unqualified against some of the best drivers in the business, and to not be able to continue like that is very hard indeed. Prio's got a run here on Montero. Montero's squirt on the juice just helps to warm the tyres up and rid him of a little bit of grip. Look at the Pro Team cars on the left-hand side. Are they hunting the water? They may be on wets then.
Anyone that's wandering across to the pit wall side, you'd have to bet at this moment in time is on wet.
Montero comes back.
Oh, not giving
Huff.
it.
Huff's just gone by Muller. Let's see. No, didn't quite get through. That's Muller right on the edge of being eased out of the points. If Thompson gets in there as well, and again we talked about British drivers in wet weather conditions. Looking back from Prio, that's Montero. Through come the 2 BMWs. It's going to be one at a time. I don't think Daste's going to be close enough, but I think that's a done deal with Hernandez. Montero's really fighting hard. Really, I'm not giving this up. I don't care if I've got rubbish and no tyre left. Battle for the lead.
3 laps to go.
Goodness me. Well, there's Prio in third. Daste passes Hernandez. Oh, gets it wrong. He's already been off once there. Daste. Prio's off. Has somebody left oil? Thompson's through.
No, there's a wheel off.
Yeah, that's Daste. That's Daste. Daste's in the gravel. Prio can't believe it. Daste's off. That's it. Championship's over. Hernandez is still on the track. Hernandez will be the independent champion for 2008. Daste just overcooked it, rattled into the inside of Thiago Montero.
Yeah,
but Prio had gone off anyway.
I think Prio had gone off on his own, but
yeah.
I think maybe he'd done that, sort of trying to avoid Daste.
Well, Prio went off and Daste couldn't control the car. I wonder if there was something down there. Farfus and Coronel. Goodness me, this is going to be a long 3 laps for Tom Coronel. Long 2 laps, long 3 laps, so 12 of 14. And who's third? Sergio Hernandez.
Unbelievable.
On wet weather tyres. Who's fourth? James Thompson. Tarquini's out. Well, we knew he was out from 22nd. He was having trouble fighting the larders. He was not going to have a good race from now on in. Hernandez is third. Thompson's fourth. Where did Thompson start? 37th. Well, no, not that far back. 16th.
Thompson started 16th.
Huff 5th. Ivan in 6th place.
No, he started 17th.
Prio is out of the car and stuck in the gravel.
That's the second time he's been off, though, because he went off and got back on again.
That's the second
and that's
corner.
The final corner.
So he's got a problem that is more than just driver error. That'll be a brake problem, like the brake pedal's gone to the floor, or he's got wet weather tyres that have just absolutely boiled away to nothing. Here's our lead battle. Independent BMW in front of them. That is the third Liqui Moly car of Masaki Kano. Tom Coronel, car number 20, leads from Augusto Farfus in car number 3. It's petrol Seat versus petrol BMW. And this is what we wanted to see all year long. The petrol Seat rather than the turbo diesel being used, because they just sound so much nicer.
Much better. But I would like to see Tom hang on here and win this race.
I would love to.
It would be great to see it. But he's going to make that the widest petrol Seat in the world here.
No question at all. But is it going to be enough? He's got slicks and a wet weather rear tyre. Farfus has got slicks, but which is going to be the better car in these slippery conditions? Your money would be on the BMWs being better balanced, but Tom's worked the traffic really well.
Beautiful.
Like you do on the motorway, you see the slow car and you just keep the outside line and leave your rival to run up against the back of the BMW.
That was just a perfect piece of driving by Tom. He read that situation perfectly and took great advantage of it.
Absolutely.
But Farfus is looking strong. He's got the magnets on the back of that thing, and he's honing in.
Hernandez in third, hunting for water, and tellingly, in fourth and fifth, Huff and Thompson not looking for water. They are on slicks, no question. Now, who's behind Ivan Muller? Gabrielli might just hang on. They're only 11 points apart at the start of the race. Who's in 7th and 8th and can unseat Ivan Muller and shove him out of the points for Gabriele Tarquini? Well, there is Ivan in 6th. He's on his little Lonioni. Oh, look, it's all yellow behind him. 7th is...
Thiago Montero.
Yeah.
And then Rick Rydell.
Ricard, Genet. No, so it's a done deal. He's going to be in the points. He's got 3 teammates behind him, separating him from Felix Portero. So he is going to finish in 6th position, which will move him 3. That'll give him 3. That'll move him 14 points in front of Gabriele Tarquini going to Macau. So he can't be champion yet. Oh! Geordie nearly pinballed all 3 Seats off the road there as he locked up under braking at the back of the queue, and fortunately took his foot off and ran out into the gravel himself rather than punt all 3 of them off.
That would have been embarrassing.
Yeah, and then some. Here is our battle for the lead. Coronel now has Farfus right with him again. Coronel praying for a back marker.
Penultimate lap.
Yeah, so he's got to hang on for another 3.7 kilometres after this.
Tom's good through that final corner, and the car looks as though it's got the pace there, but Augusto is going to have a mad dash down the inside of some of the tight ones, because the BM looks as though it's a much better proposition
it's
through the tight part of the latter part of this lap.
It's off the back straight, isn't it? If Coronel is just out of harm's reach at the end of the back straight, then that's the end of the road for Stefano D'Asti, as we saw earlier.
It's a 3-wheel wagon.
I wouldn't bother taping that. Everybody knows he lost his wheel. Coronel from Farfus, 0.3 at the line, and it needs to be that far at the end of this back straight, because as they go into the hairpin, as Prio parks it and walks away, or walks back in, he's already parked it in the gravel, Coronel needs to be sufficiently in front here that Farfus can't slip and slide his way through.
Yeah, Tom, if Tom's careful and just does exactly what he's done in the last few laps, down through this final part, 2nd, 3rd gear corners.
Oh, here we go, we're closing on the straight.
He needs to get across to the right-hand side here, that's it.
Now then, the BMW is only doing 205 kilometres an hour because of the way the gearing works. They're slower than the Seats in the straight line by up to 7 or 8 kilometres an hour, but Farfus, oh, come on Tom, keep the nose in tight. He's got to ignore the car behind him and just focus on the last 4 corners, drive them perfectly, because this is his big chance.
Yeah,
he's got to try and win this race.
He's just got to ignore the lights, watch the mirrors, and just make sure he knows exactly where Farfus is. But Farfus has now got the inside line.
Oh, he's on the dirt. Coronel just used an off-road and he's drifting out. Come on. Tom is a great drift driver as well. He knows how to handle the car sideways. Okay,
this is Coronel's race.
Penultimate corner, he's got to hold it on for one more.
This is Coronel's race. Well done, that boy.
And out of the final corner, he gets the drive on nice and early, and he was good in the final corner. Victory for Tom Coronel.
Wonderful.
Or is he? He's going to be very close at the line. Farfus is almost alongside. Victory for Coronel. The Dutch go mental. The Sunred team, their first win in touring cars. Hernandez in 3rd, just ahead of Thompson and Huff. And in 6th position, another step closer. His stranglehold on the championship titans, Ivan Muller ahead of Thiago Montero, and Felix Portero getting ahead of Rick Rydell and Jordi Genet on that last lap. There are the Sunred boys and all Tom's crew from Holland. He's going to have a good programme to make here. And Augusto 2nd place, Charlie Lamb looking relatively happy with that. They fought a good race, but in the end, well done to Tom Coronel. What a great afternoon's work by him. He made an inspired choice, handed the opportunity by taking 8th at the very end of race 1. He fought hard for that, to get that pole for race 2, and when he saw the mixed conditions, he had no hesitation. He took the gamble because he knew if he was right, it would be big payoff, and he had to fight really hard at the end of the race to hang on, but hang on he did. Gabriele Tarquini in the pit lane and out of the race. There's Augusto's wife, and she always looks happy no matter what goes on. Coronel holding off Augusto right to the flag, and Thiago Montero and Ivan Muller wheel to wheel there.
So was Ivan 6th then?
Ivan was in 6th position. 3 points for him, puts him 14 ahead of Gabriele Tarquini. And with Stefano D'Asti retiring then and Sergio Hernandez taking another 10 points, Hernandez is now the Independence Trophy champion for 2008. Well, what a difference, I was going to say a day makes, what a difference having the right tyre choice makes. Tom Coronel being bounced up in the air by his crew, delighted with a victory here with an inspired choice of tyres. But we just saw Ivan Muller and Thiago Monteiro, hot, sweaty, flustered. It was an utter nightmare struggle for them on wet weather tyres that just were not the right call on this track, John.
But that call, if Tom did what he said, and he's a pretty honest guy, slicks front, wets rear, that is an inspired choice.
Yep.
It's what some of these front-running, front-wheel drive cars should have been trying. It gives you that instant heat in the rear, and the slicks give you the front end. Okay, the car's a bit squirmy at the end of the race, but I'll tell you, it looked like a good call.
Not half as squirmy as the other Seats were by about lap 2. They were in awful trouble. Tom's TV crew are down there, the guy in the grey sweatshirt, but so are our TV crew. Let's get a word, Sebastian's right there. Let's get a word with Tom Coronel, winner of round 22 of the championship. Tom, you are live across the globe. Please do not swear.
Tom Coronel, there's the reason why you're still a star in Japan.
Well, I won Formula Nippon title here, Formula 3 title here, won the All-Star GT races, and won the WTCC race. Yeah, so we've had nearly everything here now. Absolutely, it's a great country. Good to be back. Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. As I said, he is still a big draw here in Japan. They remember the Gaijin when they come over, and they especially remember the Gaijin when they win as many things as Tom Coronel won when he was over here. Had a very successful career, and as most European drivers do when they come here, if you're any good, you get a chance to race in every category there is, and so Coronel is still a major, major draw here. In the same way that they fondly remember the likes of Roland Ratzenberger and Eddie Irvine and the guys that are racing there now, Coronel will be a big hero for the Japanese for many, many years. And you saw him getting the high five from compatriot Jaap van Lagen. The two of them have spent a lot of time together in the paddock this year, the two Dutchmen, and Coronel has particularly been really helpful to van Lagen and the Lada team in trying to get something out of their car. Championship then, let's have a look at it. Ivan Muller hits the big century, and Gabriele Tarquini 14 points behind, 30 points on offer, so still Huff and Rydell technically, well, we have to say it, they go to Macau as championship contenders. Listen, if Ivan Muller wrecks the car in race 1 in the first corner, he's not going to win the championship, and it's Macau.
Yeah, no, they are, because the only guy now that can take this championship away from Ivan Muller is his teammate, Gabriele Tarquini. Huffy has got 73 points. That's 27 points with 20 points on the table.
Yes, I can't count. You're right.
So,
you're right.
They're the only two guys now that can become world champion.
My counting is so rubbish.
Gabriele Tarquini or Ivan Muller.
Absolutely.
And Ivan Muller again has banked points in both those races.
Yep.
So you wouldn't bet against him being 2008 world champion.
No, exactly right. And it is the luck. It is the luck that goes with, and sometimes the judgment sort of influences the luck as well. You know, Tarquini on the outside in race 1 in the first corner really sowed the seeds of his own trouble here this weekend. And the car, as you can see there, clearly a major handful in the race. I think all the Seats went, apart from Tom Coronel, went on a full wet tyre setup, and that obviously was not the choice. And given the problems Andy Preo had, I think he was probably on wet tyres that just gave up as well. But in the end, it was the Amber Gambler at the front, Tom Coronel, the man who gained pole position for race 2 and gave himself the best opportunity of victory, then basically played a joker. He doubled the stakes. It was double or quits, and he went out and won it. Not by much, but by enough. And we have a new champion as well. Seat have won the manufacturer's title here in Okayama, but winning the independent, the Yokohama Independent Trophy, has been Sergio Hernandez, who finishes 3rd overall, so we don't need another independent driver on our podium. They're the pro team. They are the champions.
And he drove brilliantly as well. He's been driving well all season, but today, in these conditions, which are just treacherous, really, because it's not like it's pouring with rain, it's just a little bit slippy, and you're not quite sure what the next corner is going to bring.
Jaime Puig joins them on the podium, and now time for the Dutch national anthem.
Ivan, Roberto Tarquini. Ivan is champion now? No. How many points? No, I don't know. Before the race, 11. So now it's nearly. Now
race winner in Okayama is Tom Coronel, round 22 of the championship. And the Spanish anthem for the winning constructor, which again is Seat, this time with Tom's Sunred entered petrol-engined car, and Jaime Puig joins him on the podium. So, in third place overall in the race after a really staggering weekend, Sergio Hernandez, second to teammate Stefano D'Asti in race 1, wins the independence category in race 2, and with it he vaults into the championship title. Runner-up is the man who was fastest, except in the races. Augusto Farfus, what can you do? It just doesn't fall your way, it doesn't fall your way. He still looks happy, and he had a really good race with Tom Coronel. They will both have enjoyed that enormously. And Tom Coronel, what can you say? He's going to have trouble getting that cheese-eating grin into a plane on Monday. Coronel, however, is renowned for his post-race partying in Japan. I imagine there's going to be some very, very poorly Dutchmen and a lot of poorly Sunred men come tomorrow morning, because they're all going to be staying here in their little cabins tonight, and so there's going to be a massive, massive party going on as they say sayonara to Japan. And congratulations too to Sergio Hernandez. He's done a great job. We're going to hear from him in the press conference as well. He's done a great job, finishing on the podium overall again, and taking the Yokohama Independence Trophy for 2008.
I think the party here tonight will be fantastic, because all the teams are staying in little chalets. It's like a Girl Guides weekend away, and the whole lot of them are staying at the track because it's so far to the main city. And I think there's one bar where they don't take Japanese money, they take euros if you need a beer, so these blokes will be fine for that tonight.
I'll tell you what, Tom Coronel will not be able to spend a brass razoo in the bar tonight. There will be a queue of drivers and teams waiting to buy him a beer, not least because they want to see what he does when he's had some. And hints and tips to those around: keep the female clothing away from him. I say no more. Saluting the flags are top three. Tom does like a photo op. Who's up there at the top? Hi, they've got photographers up there on the top of the building as well. That's going to be a nice shot. There you go. Nice shot from our World Championship photographers at the top. Goodness me, a long way up there. And time to get busy with the fizzy. Don't waste it. The first drop of alcohol of probably quite a few, I think. Tom Coronel is going to be a very, very happy bunny heading to Macau. A place he knows well, place he enjoys racing, but really this is a sort of second home for Coronel. As he said, he has spent a lot of very successful time here, many years racing in Japan, loves the country, loves the people, and do you know what? It's treated him well.
Yeah, he's going to have great fun.
He certainly is.
Now that was an interesting race. It was good. There was some odd choices of tyres, and I think there'll be some people kicking themselves really for their indecision and maybe not gambling on the right tyre choice or going for something that was a bit off the wall. Andy, I'd like to know what happened with Andy's car there. Did he throw it off? Did something break? But
well, if he threw it off twice, which doesn't really sound like Prio's driving.
No, not really. But as you can see from the points there now, it really is about two men. Ivan Muller and Gabriele Tacquini, both, they've been around, they've won championships all over, 14 points adrift. For Gabriele to win, he needs Ivan not to finish in one of the races in Macau. Otherwise, he can kiss it goodnight.
Could happen. Could happen. Anything can happen in Macau, and that's one of the good things as the fans and one of the bad things as a driver when you go to Macau. It's such a gamble.
Tom Coronel, unbelievable, you said, and it was so tight the last corners, but there was nothing that could stop you today.
Well, in Japan they don't give presents, so I didn't want to give Farfus a present. I made a special choice on the grid. Everybody thought, what are you doing? Because on the front I had slick tire, on the rear I had rain tire. In the beginning I saw Montero going away a little bit, but I knew he was on full wet, so he started to get trouble in the front. And then I took the lead with a little fight, and I had to wait a little bit. And then at the end, it was very exciting because Farfus was all over. On the right, on the left, on the rear. I didn't know where he was anymore. I just kept my lines.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. First win, WTCC.
Congratulations indeed. As he says, Farfus was all over him in the last few laps, but Coronel did just enough to hang on, giving nobody a big present but himself.
Augusto Farfus, the second race was a little bit, you made up for what happened in the first one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, race 2, we did the right choice. We went on slicks. Unfortunately, our car in that condition takes quite a while to make the tire work. Therefore, we lose. I lost the first few laps. Afterwards, it starts to work definitely well. Anyway, I'm happy for the team. We achieved 2 second places. We could have achieved much better. The performance was definitely there, but, you know, races are like that.
Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you.
That's racing. He did everything he could to try and take the win. Same with Jörg Müller in race 1. Just wasn't quite going to happen, but Schnitzer on the podium in both races. And if it had been dry, maybe it would have been even more of a BMW racetrack. But Coronel doing just enough to hang on, boxing him in here behind traffic, and then clinging like grim death for the last few laps.
Sergio Hernandez, your first ever podium in the WTCC, and then you can celebrate with Tom Coronel. It must have been fun out there.
Yeah, it has been a very difficult race, very hard. I was fighting all the time with Priot. It was amazing just trying to pass the world champion. And I didn't know what to think in the race because it was very difficult. I was with rain tires, and I went to the wet side of the track to get the tires a little bit fresh. And I don't know what to think. I also congratulations for Tom and Farfus.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, kid, you're a world champion too now. And Andy isn't anymore. Well, he won't be after Macau. So you're battling like for like in similar machinery with a world champion and getting the better of him in these conditions as well. Whatever happened with Priot's car, certainly he was having trouble holding Hernandez off. But Hernandez is now the world champion as well in the Yokohama Independence Trophy. So congratulations to him. His first outright podium in the World Touring Car Championship. And Tom Coronel claims his first win. So for both of them, it's a big red letter day. So we've had 3 titles decided here. The Pro Team can now not be caught in the Independence Teams Trophy. The Yokohama Independence Trophy champion is Sergio Hernandez, and Seat are the manufacturer's world champions. Just Ivan Muller and Gabriele Tarquini to arm wrestle it out. First man to blink in Macau is going to walk away empty-handed. And we go to the final race weekend of the championship, rounds 23 and 24 of the longest World Touring Car campaign yet. And that man leads, Ivan Muller. And when we get to the streets of Macau, well, he knows what it takes to win, and he's got that handy 14-point advantage over Gabriele Tarquini. And that means that Muller, if he needs to, can be cautious, cannot go for every half chance and every half-baked idea. But Tarquini has to give it everything. He'll have to basically win both races with Ivan Muller second or third behind him to stand a chance of winning. If it gets to a tie and Tarquini has won both, he will be ahead. They've won 3 races each this season, and Tarquini basically needs to win 5 to win the championship. And as we head to Macau, Ivan Muller is certainly looking as relaxed as you might expect from a man who had a really tough time here in race 2.